grab our first two fence posts, or our first fence post, excuse me, tab into it, select everything. We want to, first of all, we want to get rid of the, we want to put the top on its own object. So select the X-ray button, and with faces selected, just do a drag selection right there. You'll see a little dot in the center of a face when you're in X-ray mode or transparent mode, and that's how you select them. Right click, go down to separate selection. You're there. It's done. So we're going to rename this fence post top to, or fence post to fence post top even. My tongue is just not obeying me today. Go to the fence post odd, repeat it, do the same thing, down to separate selection, tab out, go to it, rename it top. Okay, so now we select our first fence post. We're going to break this down. I am going to try to keep these faces together. So with I'm going to select the edge selector. I'm going to select that edge right there. Right click in the seam, mark seam, tab out. We'll go to the odd. I want to do the same one. Select it, tab in, select that edge, right click, mark seam, tab out. I'm going to hide them because they're going to get in my way. And I'm going to hide my tops because they're going to get in my way. And I'm going to hide my odds because they're going to get in my way. I'm going to do the evens first. So I'm just going to select all my evens because it should let me do this together. Tab in and just select all of them, tab in. You should see them all marked as editing. With the edge selector, I'm going to select that front bottom edge, that inner bottom edge. Select all the edges, holding down the shift key. Right click, mark seam. They're done. I'm going to hide them and show my odds now. With each of my odds selected, tab in, do the exact same thing. Mark seam. Alrighty, tab out, show everything. And I'm actually going to select all of them. I do not want my tops selected because they have got, let's do the tops first. When you come to the UV editing, you will automatically go to edit mode. So tab out, select the two tops, hit this 7 key to go to top mode. We're looking down on the tops. Hit the tab key to go back to edit and select, do an A to select all. Actually, that's exactly what I want, but I'll go ahead and show you. With the face button selected, I'm going to right click over here. I'm going to say project from view. And they're a little bitty. But I'm going to control Z because I like it that they're already on top of each other. I'm going to go to UV's constraint, and I'm going to I'll just go ahead and select that button for the vertices. Hit the N key. Set those side vertices to 0. Hit the select the two bottom ones, and on the Y set it to 0. And now try to drag that really close to the center. You can actually set it to 0.55. Hey, what's up with my keyboard? Hold on, I gotta pause. Alright, my keyboard went crazy. 0.5 and 0.5, and that will be centered. Alright, with our mouse cursor over the models, tab out. Let's go ahead and do our face post first. Let's do them one at a time. I got the even selected. I'm going to unwrap over here, and it done a pretty good job of it. Tab out, go to the odd, select all, unwrap, done a good job of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and select all my boards, right click, and it just put them everywhere. I don't really, that will add variation to it, but then you got to create a texture that big. That's why I'm not doing it. So I'm going to tab out, just select my first board, select all, right click, unwrap. I want, since wood has grain to it, we actually want this to be pointing, have the same rotation, and just rotate it by 90. Since our UV is constrained to UV bounds, as soon as we try to move this, it'll pop it up here. So I'm just going to put that one over to that side. Select the next one, tab, select all, unwrap. Now if you're going to paint this in Blender, you probably don't care about having the grain the same direction, but that's up to you. I'm just going to use a standard wood texture that I have, and I'm going to put it out there on GitHub with the rest of everything. It'll look odd in our world because everything else is pixelated. I guess I should have just turned the post to these guys, to the same direction as these, because these, well, this one isn't. Still plan on doing some examples of atlases, mainly with the fence post and a couple other things. Okay, they're all unwrapped now. So I'm going back to my layout mode. I'm going to save my file. Or I'm going to export my file, actually. Excuse me. Don't want to confuse anybody about where I export it. So I'm just going to export it to the Assets folder, Models folder that we already created. And I'm going to name it Fence Post. And let me do this again. Hold on. Makes no sense putting it in the other screen. Models. I'm just going to call it Fence Post. I'm going to say selection only, object groups, apply modifier I'll leave on. I do not want to write the material, and I do want smoothing groups, although it really doesn't matter so much for this one. I don't really want my fence post to be really smooth, but smoothing groups makes Blender for some reason write the object file better. And I'm going to export it. And let's jump back to Unity. Alrighty, back in Unity. Select on the models, see fence post, it's there. Scenes, jump over to model, the models scene. Let's see here. Expand voxel mesh library. That's the wrong one. I never created never created a mesh library for Hexagon. Okay. So you might not even have a model scene. If you don't, create a scene and call it models. Go to prefabs and drag the mesh library up into it. I'm going to hide my voxel version. I'm going to expand it I'm going to say new part, and I'm going to call this fence post even. Actually, I'm going to right click on basic parts. I'm going to create an empty and call it fence post. Then I'm going to grab my fence post even, drag it under there. We'll go to the editor window, go back to the models folder, grab the fence post, drag it up to the spot. It has no side. We're not going to worry about the side right now. I'm going to collect available, and it actually Blender exported all those as one item. I hate it when it does that. Oh, it only exported. I know I didn't do that. I'm going back. Okay, so I guess I clicked somehow. I'm just going to reproduce. This is exactly what I've done at the last video. All of my selections should be the same. Selection only, object group, apply modifier, smooth group, turn off write materials. Export it again. There we go. Now I'm going to collect, and there it is. Fence post even. Import it, double click on it, and there it is with the grass texture. Love the grass texture. Now I'm going to duplicate that and do fence post odd. There they are. Now I actually set this up in such a way that we had to use some functionality from our import here. So I'm just finishing another lab here that we haven't actually got to finish yet. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that again, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. On the new duplicate, why aren't you selected anymore? Okay, on the new duplicate, I'm going to take fence post, front, bottom, even, and front, top, even. And I'm going to say import. And there they are. They're the same guy. It imported them as one mesh. And I'm going to call this front boards even. Duplicate it and rename this side boards even. Alright, and there they are. Now I'm going to clear both of those. Since they're not in our collection yet, we have to clear them on there. I'm going to duplicate front boards even, but I'm going to make a mistake. I'm just going to grab the front board odd, front bottom odd, and I need to rename it front board odd. And I'm just going to grab the, and then I'm going to duplicate it because I made a mistake. Oh, well, I haven't made a mistake yet. I don't realize it yet. And right here, I would probably realize it. Odd 2. And I'm going to change selection from front bottom odd to front top odd. And I'm going to import it. But I realize, hey, I want those together. So I grab front board odd. I'm going to close my window. I'm going to drag front board odd 2 onto its imports window. And there it is. Import add. Bam. Now I'm going to delete this one. Refresh my mesh. And there they are. They're combined again. Of course, in my opinion, it would be easier to do it over here. But front bottom odd, front top odd. It'd be easier just to do that, but you may have your model parts in different files for some reason. I don't know. Okay, so duplicate front board odd and rename it side boards odd. Duplicate, or excuse me, deselect those two. Select the top bottom two. Import. We got all of them. And now we have one more piece. We have one more thing to add in here. Go ahead and duplicate one more time. Deselect both of these. We're going to call this fence post top even. Just grab it and bam, there it is. Should be right on top of our fence post actually. So if I refresh my mesh, there it is. And now I'm going to duplicate it, rename it fence post top odd, deselect top even, select top odd, import, there it is. And refresh the mesh on you. You're all lined up. Okay, let's go create our models, our shapes. Okay, first of all, I need to come up here to basic parts. I need to refresh parts, clear meshes, refresh the prefab. That added everything to the prefab. Come down to basic shapes. I'm going to say new shape, fence post even. And I am going to give it 2 parts right now. Actually, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. 4 parts. And I'm going to go back up to my basic parts. I'm going to drag fence post part, fence post top, and then the front boards even, and the side boards even. Although we're not going to display these all the time, we still want to add them over here. And then we will remove or show them depending on the opposites. Same deal with this one. Fence post odd, fence post top odd, front boards odd, side boards odd. Very simple. Go back up here, refresh the shapes, go back up to basic parts, refresh parts, refresh opposites, refresh the mesh library. Now, right now everybody else is not going to react to the fence post, other than you won't be able to cover them. For everyone else, all the other shapes for the moment, it's just going to show them. But we need to react on our fence post. So for the fence post even, nothing does anything to it because nothing touches it. The fence post top even though, the full hides it. The lower half hides it. A fence post even on top of it would hide it. Fence post odd will never be on top of the even, and it wouldn't hide it if it was. So for the fence post odd, top, fence post top odd, same deal. Exact same ones. Except we'll do the fence post odd instead of the fence post even. I think I named things to give myself a challenge with pronouncing them. Okay. There are those. Front boards even is very interesting, because if it's against none, it will not be shown. If it's against full, it will not be shown. If it's against lower half, it will not be shown. If it's against upper half, it will not be shown. If it's against one of these two one of our 2 fence posts have got to be our anchor fence posts that we're actually going to show. And that's going to be the fence post even. So we'll just leave both of these on, but we're only going to react to fence posts even because that's the only thing we're actually ever going to put out there right now. Okay, so go to sideboards, same deal. None, 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 none. Front boards, none, 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 none. Sideboards, none, 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 none. Now we need to set our sides on the fence posts because they actually do need a side on the fence boards. And actually also on the tops. I didn't set those, did I? So the fence post top even will have a neighbor of 6. The fence post top odd will have a neighbor of 6. Now, it's going to get a little bit tricky now. Fence board even will have a neighbor of 5. Sideboards, front even will have a neighbor of 3. Sideboards will have a neighbor of 5 though. But for our odds, they're at the front. Therefore, the front boards will also have a neighbor of 3, but the sideboards will have a neighbor of 4. And that is the setup for these guys. Go back to the mesh library, refresh the prefab. Let's jump back over to Unity in Visual Studio and let's implement this code.